Hello, everyone. Today I will be discussing the topic of gender inequality, which to me is an important and complex issue in our society. Before I begin, I just want to make it clear that the content of this presentation is meant to represent the perspectives and beliefs of society as a whole and not necessarily my own personal beliefs. My goal is to provide an objective and respectful overview of the current state of gender inequality and the challenges that still persist. So this is a photo I took at work. Before it looks like this, it was completely disorganized. I took this photo and I thought in the context of gender inequality, the photo of the neatly folded shirts could symbolize, the traditional gender role of women as caregivers and homemakers who are often expected to take care of tasks such as, laundry and household chores. Metaphorically, the photo of neatly folded shirts could represent the societal expectation for women to take on the role of caregivers and homemakers, often, at the expense of their own personal and professional pursuits. The unorganized mess of shirts before they were, cleaned up and organized could symbolize the chaos and clutter of daily life, while the organized and neat stack of shirts, could represent the societal pressure for women to maintain order and, the cleanliness in the home. Um, the fact that the shirts were unorganized before they were tidied further emphasized the gendered division of labor and the expectation that women will take care of these tasks. This is another photo from work. In this photo, you can't completely see the men's section, but it begins where those vests are on the right and ends where the baby diapers are, which is a fairly small section. You can't really see where the baby diapers are in this section, but it is fairly small. But on the left is all of the women's sections. Obviously, not all sections are present in this photo, but they go all the way to the front of this store. Um, this, I think, could represent, the gender imbalance um, in the fashion industry. This imbalance symbolizes to me how society often values women's appearance more than men's, and how the fashion industry is more geared towards catering to women's needs and preferences. The picture, I think, can also reflect the gendered expectations placed on men and women in terms, of their own clothing choices and the limited options available to men compared to women. I also think it's also important to touch on how fashion was and is still a form of expression and has long been influenced by women in society. Like indicated before, gender has controlled an individual's role in society and has set certain expectations for both men and women. For instance, it was not common among women to wear pants until the 1920s. Clothing styles back then were very feminine and quote unquote ladylike and conformed to a social expectation of the ideal housewife and homemaker. When you look at fashion now, it is completely different. You see women in crop tops, shorter skirts, tighter clothing, etc. I think it is really interesting to kind of see how these expectations have changed over time and how society's view on women's appearances have changed since then. So this is a photo I took in front of my vanity. When I took this photo, I thought in the context of gender inequality, a picture of my vanity with, the makeup sitting on top could symbolize the societal expectation for women to prioritize their appearance and femininity. The vanity represents a space where women often perform, their beauty slash makeup routines with the makeup sitting on top, sort of serving as a reminder of that societal pressure for women to um, present themselves in a certain way in order to meet those standards of beauty and femininity. This picture can also highlight, the gendered nature of the beauty industry, which often targets women and perpetrates the idea that women's beauty and worth are intricately tied in their appearance. It also ties in with photo two, the photo before, In my store, there is a very small section catered to plus-sized women, which definitely shows how society caters towards women that look a certain way, which is important, to think about and keep in mind. So this is a photo of my dad. I took this photo when he had came home from working just about all day. I thought this sort of symbolized the gender roles in regards to men in a traditional household. In this scenario, my dad is the main breadwinner of the family. It represents, this traditional male role of providing for the family financially. His dirty clothes and lunchbox could symbolize the hard labor and physical work that men are often expected to do in order to fulfill this role. I also think it was interesting the contrast between his dirty slash messy appearance and the potential or the clean and comfortable environment of the home. As you can see with the clean counters and the floors clean and everything around him is pretty clean. It highlights kind of the unequal division of labor in the household. Okay, I took this photo of my dad's garage. He definitely spends quite a bit of time in there, and I thought it symbolized the gender division of labor in the household. In this scenario, the garage represents a space where traditionally, quote unquote, masculine tasks such as car repairs and home maintenance may be performed, while my dad's frequent presence in the garage represents the expectation that men are responsible for these tasks. The separation of the garage from the rest of the house kind of highlights the gendered roles and spaces in the household, with men primarily occupying the garage and performing tasks related to maintenance and repair, while women may primarily occupy the house perform tasks related to cleaning and cooking. In these next photos, I make a lot of references to light specifically. Light is sort of a representation of hope for me, so I do mention it quite a bit. But so this photo I took before bed, which I thought, in the context of gender inequality, a picture of a dark room with only the lamp on could represent the limited opportunities and visibility that women often face in society. The darkness symbolizes, the lack of progress and the barriers that women face in areas such as education, employment, politics. I think the lamp could represent the small but hopeful light that illuminates the room and, sort of signifies the potential for change and progress. I think the room's darkness and the lamp together kind of illustrate the discrepancy in the treatment and rights of women in society, with the lamp casting a small but hopeful light in the midst of darkness. So I took this photo while feeding my dogs. When I looked out the window, I thought in the context, again, of gender inequality, this picture of a window open with light coming in, could symbolize the idea of opening up new opportunities and possibilities for women. The light coming in could represent the hope and potential for positive change, while the window itself represents, the need to break down barriers and traditional gender roles in order to create a more equal society. I also think this picture could symbolize, the importance of exposure to new ideas and perspectives, as the light, represents knowledge and understanding, and the open window kind of symbolizing the willingness to embrace change and progress. One of my favorite photos I took was this sunset. I felt that this photo symbolized the concept of change and progress towards gender equality. The setting of the sun as the sun disappears, represents kind of to me, the gradual shift away from traditional gender roles and towards a more equal society. Additionally, the colors of the sunset, such as the orange and pink, could symbolize the beauty and vibrance of a society where men and women are equal in terms of rights and opportunities. The sun setting again could also represent the end, of gender stereotype or traditional gender stereotypes and the beginning of a new era of gender equality and inclusion. So, concluding this, I genuinely believe gender inequality is a complex and ongoing issue that affects individuals and societies as a whole. It is important to recognize the systemic barriers and biases that persist in gender inequality and to work towards, dismantling them. While progress has definitely been made in recent years, there's still much work to be done in order to create a society where, men and women have equal opportunities and rights. I also think it is important to avoid viewing, the issue of gender inequality through a one-sided perspective. Progress toward gender equality benefits not just women, but men and society as a whole. When women are given opportunities to participate fully in all areas of life, I believe society is better able to benefit from the talents and perspectives of all of its members. By continuing to work towards gender equality, I think we can definitely create a world that is just more fair and equal for everyone. Thank you guys.